Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of our podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that, honestly, I think everyone can relate to at some point in their life. You know, those seasons where you feel like you're doing everything right. You're aligned, you're focused, you're walking in purpose, and yet somebody still has a problem with you.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's like you're minding your business, trying to be a good human. And then out of nowhere, you've got a friend who suddenly changes their tune, a colleague who feels threatened by your presence, or, even worse, someone online who just decides to attack your character without knowing a single thing about you. It's a really disorienting feeling.
Totally. And if that sounds like you right now, if you're navigating one of those confusing, painful seasons, then welcome home because today's episode is specifically for you. This is episode 3, David, navigating jealousy, criticism, and being misunderstood. And we're gonna unpack how to stay grounded when people attack or misunderstand you, drawing profound lessons from the life of King David.
It's such a crucial topic, especially in our hyper-connected world where opinions fly freely. But let's rewind a bit and set the stage with David. I mean, think about it. David didn't go looking for trouble, right? He wasn't chasing fame or validation. He was literally just a shepherd boy doing what God called him to do, minding his own business. And the spotlight, in a dramatic way, just found him after he faced Goliath.
Exactly. He wasn't out there campaigning for popularity. He just obeyed God, stepped out in faith, and conquered a giant that no one else dared to face. And then everything shifted. Suddenly, he's the hero, and scripture captures this pivotal moment so perfectly in 1 Samuel 18, where the women sing, Saul has slain his thousands, but David his tens of thousands.
And that's it, isn't it? One moment of genuine praise, one moment where David is rightfully celebrated for his courage, and Saul's heart just flips like a light switch. The jealousy hits him like lightning. No warning, no explanation, just this sudden, intense hatred. It's truly shocking to read.
It really is, and I think that's how jealousy often works in real life too. You don't change. You're still the same person, perhaps even growing into a better version of yourself, but their perception of you is what changes. It's almost like your growth triggers an insecurity in someone who perhaps hasn't grown yet or is stuck in their own season.
That's such a profound insight, speaker man. It's not about you, it's about them. You might be excelling, you might be following your calling, and instead of celebrating with you, someone becomes threatened. And for David, it went from admiration to outright hostility. Imagine showing up to serve with honor and loyalty, only to have the person above you, in this case, King Saul himself, try to destroy you.
And he didn't just try to destroy him in a metaphorical sense, right? Saul literally threw spears at David. Not harsh words, not gossip, but actual physical spears aimed to pin him to the wall. That's a level of malice that's hard to wrap your head around, especially when you consider David did absolutely nothing wrong.
Exactly. It's the ultimate unfair criticism. Today, most of us aren't dodging literal spears, thankfully, but the spears still come, don't they? They come in the form of harsh comments online, the whispers of gossip, passive aggressive posts that are clearly aimed at you, workplace sabotage, or just unprovoked hostility from someone who feels like you're encroaching on their territory or threatening their position.
And the emotional effect is still sharp, still painful. Whether it's a physical weapon or a verbal one, when it's undeserved, it cuts deep. The part that always gets me when I read David's story is exactly what you said. David did nothing wrong. He was loyal, he was skilled, he was honoring, and yet he became the target of intense, murderous jealousy.
It's a stark reminder that sometimes the people who attack you are really just responding to their own insecurity, their own unaddressed issues, and it has absolutely nothing to do with your behavior. It's a reflection of them, not you. And recognizing that can be a powerful shield against the emotional damage.
That's a vital truth we often forget in the moment. When you're in the thick of it, it feels so personal, so directed. But David's story gives us this incredible framework for understanding that. Now, let's talk about David's response to all of this because this is where his character truly shines. What did he do after the spears, after the constant attempts on his life?
This is the discipline we all need to learn, isn't it? He didn't drag Saul online. He didn't gather all his supporters and start a Team David campaign to cancel Saul. He didn't try to explain himself to everyone who would listen, trying to win public opinion. What did he do? He dodged the spear, literally, and he kept serving. He kept worshipping. He kept loving. He kept honoring, despite everything.
I mean, that's just, it's almost superhuman, right? In our culture, the immediate impulse is to clap back, to defend ourselves, to set the record straight, to expose the person who's wronged us. But David models something entirely different. He models restraint. Emotional maturity is often revealed not in what you say, but in what you refuse to say.
Absolutely. It's the discipline of restraint. Sometimes silence isn't weakness. Sometimes silence is wisdom. And sometimes, in a spiritual sense, silence is spiritual warfare. You're not engaging in the flesh. You're letting God fight your battles. And David understood this profoundly.
Think about that famous moment in the cave, right? Saul is delivered right into David's hands. He's vulnerable, he's sleeping, completely unaware that David and his men are right there. The perfect chance for revenge, the perfect chance to settle the score and take back what was rightfully his. But David says, I will not stretch out my hand against him.
That's incredible, isn't it? He could have justified it 100 ways. God delivered him to me. He tried to kill me first. This is divine justice. But instead, he made a conscious choice to not let Saul's toxic behavior pull him out of his own character. He refused to stoop to that level, to violate his own principles of honoring God's anointed, even when God's anointed was acting completely unhinged.
That's the translation, isn't it? I will not let their behavior pull me out of my character. That's such a powerful takeaway for us today. When someone is throwing their modern day spears, whether online or in person, the temptation is to retaliate, to match their energy. But David teaches us that true strength is found in holding on to your character, no matter how much they try to provoke you.
And this brings us to another crucial point in David's journey, the waiting season. David was anointed as king by Samuel. We know that. But he wasn't appointed yet. There was this huge, difficult, and frankly dangerous gap between the promise and its fulfillment. And that space, that wilderness, is what we call character formation.
Oh, the waiting season. It's one of the hardest parts of life, isn't it? You have a word, you have a promise, you know where you're supposed to be headed, but you're stuck in the in between, feeling like nothing's happening, or worse, everything is going wrong. And for David, during this season, God actually used Saul, yes, Saul, the one trying to kill him, to mature him emotionally.
It's a crazy concept, but it's true. Sometimes your sword isn't sent to destroy you, but to develop you, to teach you self control under immense pressure, to cultivate humility when you could easily demand your rights, to force you to rely on God in ways you never would otherwise, to teach you forgiveness when every fiber of your being screams for revenge, to build endurance and emotional strength.
Think about it. Before David could lead a nation, before he could sit on the throne and shepherd an entire people, he had to learn how to lead himself. He had to learn how to master his own emotions, his own impulses, his own desire for justice. That journey in the wilderness, running from Saul, shaped him into the man after God's own heart.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. We often want the promise without the process. We want the crown without the cave. But it's in those difficult, trying seasons when we're unjustly attacked or misunderstood that our character is truly forged. It's where we learn to lean on God in a deeper way, to understand what it means to truly forgive, and to develop a resilient spirit.
Yeah, it's so much more than just a biblical story. It's a blueprint for life. Because, let's be real, some environments are just toxic, whether it's a relationship, a workplace, or even a digital space. There are situations where you're just not safe, physically or emotionally. So, how do we handle those toxic environments biblically? Drawing from David's example.
First, David didn't stay where he wasn't safe. He left the palace. This is so important. Boundaries are biblical. You don't have to stay in an environment that is actively trying to destroy you. Sometimes, the most spiritual thing you can do is remove yourself from harm's way.
That's a powerful point. It's not about running away from a problem, but about protecting your spirit and your calling. Second, he didn't poison his heart. Even though Saul was his enemy, David kept honor in his tone and his actions towards Saul. He didn't let bitterness take root, which is incredibly difficult when you're being persecuted.
And third, he didn't fight spiritual battles with fleshly weapons. No revenge, no retaliation, as we saw in the cave. He understood that his ultimate victory wasn't going to come from his own strength or cunning, but from God's hand. He left justice to the Lord.
Which leads to the final and perhaps most important point: he sought God first. Every major emotional decision David made during this harrowing season was steeped in prayer. Before acting, before moving, he consulted the Lord. He didn't trust his own feelings or his own desire for revenge. He trusted God's guidance.
This is the blueprint, honestly, for dealing with any kind of relational friction or hostility in our modern lives. Whether it's friends who change, workplaces that drain you, family tension, or that constant barrage of social media hostility, it applies across the board.
So, let's bring it all home with some modern relevance. When your friends get jealous because you're doing well, respond like David. Choose restraint. Choose character over reaction. When people misunderstand you, and they will, let God define you. Their opinion, their misjudgment doesn't change who you are in God's eyes.
And when social media becomes a toxic cesspool of negativity and baseless attacks, choose silence over reaction. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your life, especially strangers online. When a workplace becomes hostile, set boundaries with grace. You're not being weak, you're being wise and protecting your peace.
And finally, when you feel attacked, when those spears are flying, remember this profound truth: you are still anointed. Your value was determined by God long before anyone had an opinion about you. Their opinion doesn't diminish your worth or your calling. It doesn't cancel God's plan for your life.
So, breathe, my friends. Just breathe. God sees you. He sees what you're going through. God defends you even when you can't defend yourself or when you choose not to. And like David, you will rise, not by force, not by retaliation, but by faith, by enduring, and by allowing God to shape your character in those difficult seasons.
That's such a comforting and empowering message, Eman. It reminds us that our true victory isn't in winning an argument or proving someone wrong, but in remaining faithful and true to our character and to God. Through David's journey today,
My pleasure. It's a journey we all embark on, and David provides such an incredible example. Remember, your anointing isn't based on human approval, it's based on divine calling. Stay grounded, stay humble, and trust God with the rest.
absolutely. This has been episode 3: Navigating Jealousy, Criticism, and Being Misunderstood. We hope this conversation has encouraged and equipped you to face those challenging moments with resilience and grace. Until next time, take care and stay blessed.
Coming up next on episode 4, Daniel, standing firm in a shifting culture.